Hello and welcome to Sunday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today I'm going to share with you a present I got for Christmas. Now this is somebody who's been kind enough on our Discord server to include me in the Secret Santa competition there, even though I didn't even participate in it. And Priyam Bhushan, who has done an incredible job basically gifting everyone's presents out and allocating them out and making sure the whole thing works smoothly. Well, she sent me an email saying that actually someone over there has made me not just one puzzle, by the way, but 3 puzzles. I mean, it's quite unbelievable. It's just so kind. And no, I'll show you them. We've got this one, which is called CTC X Whispers. And this sort of CTC is spelt out in the grid with a sort of symmetrical upside down CTC as well. There's a CTC X Thermo, which again we've got sort of CT, a C, and then the C, and then the mirrored C. I mean, it's really clever as well. And then this puzzle, Whispers of a Killer. Now this is the one I'm thinking we're going to try today on the channel, and I hope to goodness I'll be able to solve it, because the message here, what does it say? It says the third one is a tricky one, but not monstrously difficult. So yeah, I'm blown away by this. I'm intrigued to see if I can work out who the Secret Santa might be. Now my only guess, I'm going to tell you what my guess is here. My only guess is that I read the rules for these, and in every case they use the words standard Sudoku rules apply. And that struck me as unusual because most people nowadays use normal Sudoku rules apply. So I went to our email index and email inbox and I did a search on standard Sudoku rules apply. And there is one constructor who has used that nomenclature repeatedly in their submissions to the channel. And so I'm wondering if these puzzles are by a Spartacus. Now, if they are by a Spartacus, I mean, we are in for an absolute treat because he's one of the world's great constructors. And if they're not, well, I don't know who you are. I really then have no clue who you are. And I'd just like to say thank you. And I'm hoping this puzzle is going to be awesome. But we shall see. I haven't had this tested, by the way, so I don't know. But I thought it's too good an opportunity not to have a go at on the channel and see what my Christmas present is. Do I have any other news? I've got a couple of things to mention before we kick off today. I need to say congratulations to 3 of you who have somehow already finished the Star Wars Sudoku hunt that we only published yesterday on our Patreon site. So very well done to Dvorak42. Yours was the first entry, that mind-blowing as ever. Yangazelius, and also Nathan Gilbert. So the 3 of you have somehow managed to do this. It is remarkable to me and very well done. If those of you who've been doing the hunt and maybe got stuck, or you want a bit of a hint onto how to go forward, I definitely recommend checking out the Discord server. There is a patrons only section of the Discord server where a lot of people at the moment are chatting about the hunt. So if you are stuck, go over there. You may even find a fellow by the name of Peter C Hayward frequenting that channel at the moment. And Peter, of course, wrote the hunt. So he's a very good person to seek tips from. Anyway, with that said, is there anything else I wanted to mention? I don't think so. Let's get on with my Christmas present, and I shall read you the rules. They are as follows. It's called Whispers of a Killer, by the way. Can't remember if I said that. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Adjacent digits along a green line must have a difference of at least 5. So this is German whispers. I suppose that's why it's called Whispers of a Killer. So let's imagine this cell here was a 3. Now this square here would have to be at least 5 different from 3. So it could be an 8 or a 9, but nothing else. Because we have to make sure that difference is maintained. Let's say it was an 8, then the next digit would have to be 5 away from 8, so we'd have to be going downwards again. So it could be a 1, a 2, or it couldn't be a 3 because we've already got a 3 in the box. But that's how German whispers work. And one more rule, which is that in cages, digits must sum to the small clue in the top left corner of the cage. And no stipulation about digits not being able to repeat within a cage, because they just can't repeat within a cage because they all seem to be in the same box of a Sudoku. So no digit can repeat within a cage anyway. Now do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual Now I get to play Let's Get Cracking. Now, well, the first thing I'm seeing here, and it's not really a thing I'm seeing, it's a thing I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing anything in the cages that makes me excited at all. I mean, a 15 cage in 2 cells, there's only 2 ways of doing that. Same with a 14 cage, I suppose. A 9 cage has 3 different options. 14 and a 13 cage. Okay, I can tell you something small about these 2 dominoes, and that small thing is that there must be a 9 in one of those 4 cells, and that's because 8 plus 7 plus 6 plus 5 only equals 26. These are the things that you gradually learn if you do enough of these puzzles. So there must be a 9 in one of those cages, so if it's in the 14 cage, that's 5, 9. If it's in the 13 cage, that's 4, 9. I don't know what that means at all. 12 and 10. 15 and 11 there is 26, so we can't even say there's got to be a 9 in those 2 dominoes. Oh dear, this is already looking at least tricky. So it must be the whispers lines, I think, is how we have to start this. Now, that these also don't look like very appetizing whispers lines. In fact, they look like hooks, don't they? They look like fish hooks. That's what they seem to look like to me. Either that or squash rackets, or lacrosse rackets. Maybe that would be a better picture. But I mean, well, let's think about what we know about German whispers lines. I only know 2 things about them, basically. First thing is that you can never put a 5 on a German whispers line, because if you do, the next digit is problematic, because it has to be 5 away from 5, so it either has to be 0 or lower, or it has to be 10 or higher, both of which are nonsenses. So there's no 5 on a German whispers line, and that is a hint about the way that German whispers lines work. They basically have a sort of parity-ish constraint, in the sense they have to oscillate low, high, low, high, low, high, or high, low, high, low, high, low. You can never have 2 digits of the same sort of parity size in a row. So if you had a 2 here, you can never have a 1, 2, 3 or 4 on the next position on the line, because they're never going to be 5 apart. So if this was a 2, we know this one would have to be a high digit. In fact, it would have to be 7, 8 or 9. Let's say it's 9. Now this one has to be low again. It can't be selected from the high digits. So we know that these 2x2s at the top of our fish hooks contain exactly 2 high digits and exactly 2 low digits. Now, I wonder with the 15 cage here then. So, no, I'm not sure that is quite enough, is it? I was wondering whether I could argue that there would be an overlap between the 2 high digits on the fish hook here and the 2 high digits that must, I'll just put my teeth back in, that must exist in the 15 cage, because a 15 cage must always be made up of either 6, 9 or 7, 8. In other words, 2 high digits. So there are 2 high digits here, 2 high digits here, and if we knew that there was an overlap between those digits, you'd have to have 2 of those 3 cells adding up to 15 by Sudoku. But in fact, why couldn't you have 6, 9 in the cage there and 7, 8 on the whispers line there, and then there would be no overlap? And you would know nothing, or I would know nothing, which is about right, I think, about this puzzle. Okay. Wow. So now I'm wondering, is it... Yeah, in fact, this might be here is my New Year's resolution. If you see a puzzle with 2x2s in it, always think about set, because it comes up, it always seems to revolve somehow around 2x2s. Now, can we do something with 2x2s here that's set related? And the reason for looking for set is that it's always sensible to look for set if you just don't see what to do. Now, the problem here is that this doesn't look terribly appetizing to me to try and force something. If I'm going to try and isolate the geometry relating to these 2x2s, that feels to me like I'm going to have to do something using those cells. In fact, that's really glaring at me. Hang on, let me use a different colour for that. Maybe I'll use blue. That's not too bad. So if I try and isolate those, it looks like it's something like this, doesn't it? There's going to be all sorts of overlapping nonsenses. Oh, no, no, no. Is that really what we're being asked to think about here? That's slightly terrifying if it is. I'm not too keen on trying to... I think... I'm shying away from that. Can I do it bit by bit, I'm now wondering? If I think about just that box and think about that column and that row, can I get something there? Let me just think about this for a second or two. That would allow me to work out what then? I would know that oranges were 45 more than blues. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, there might be something here actually. I'm definitely going to at least do the maths on this to check. So what I'm thinking, and those of you who are new to set are probably thinking, what is he doing? Well, what I'm thinking is that just look at the blue cells down in the bottom left-hand corner now. That's obviously a complete set of the digits 1 to 9. I have no idea what the disposition of digits is within box 7, but at this moment I don't care. I just know that's a complete set of the digits 1 to 9. Now, look at the orange cells I've highlighted. The whole of column 1, well, that's a complete set of the digits 1 to 9. And the whole of row 9, well, that's another complete set of the digits 1 to 9. This cell is a bit of a difficult one, that cell there, because that cell is both in column 1 and row 9. So if we imagine this in terms of Scrabble tiles, and I had a blue bag full of the blue digits that I'd highlighted in box 7, there would be 9 digits in my blue bag. Now, in my orange bag, there would be 9 digits, 9 Scrabble tiles for column 1 and 9 Scrabble tiles for row 9. So there would be 18 Scrabble tiles in my orange bag. And whatever digit in the finished solution turned up in that cell, let's make that cell an 8. That would appear, obviously, that would be in the bag twice, because it's in column 1 and it's in row 9. In fact, every digit would be in twice. It's some people can say, well, this digit, there's only 17 digits in orange because I've only highlighted 17 cells. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm highlighting a complete set of the digits 1 to 9 in column 1 and a complete set in row 9. So this digit is in both sets and therefore effectively counts twice. It would be on 2 tiles in terms of the bag logic. So what does this allow us to state at this point? Well, in my blue bag, I've got cells summing to 45, and in my orange bag, I've got cells summing to 90. And I've sort of elided over the secret there, which is something I only tell my very favourite people. But that's that a complete box of a Sudoku, or a complete row, or a complete column must contain the digits 1 to 9 once each, and 1 to 9 add up to 45. So my blue cells here sum to 45, my orange cells there sum to 45, and my orange cells here sum to 45. So the difference between my blue set of digits and my set of 9 blue digits and my set of 18 orange digits at this point is 45, i.e. 90 minus 45, which is 45. Now, let's imagine I rummage round in my orange bag and I find whatever this digit is. Let's say that digit's a 6. If I find that digit and I throw it away out of my orange bag, and I go and rummage around in my blue bag and I find a 6 and I throw that away, what could we say once this digit had been removed from both bags? Well, the difference between the two bags must still be the same thing as it was before, because all I've done is reached into both bags and thrown the same thing out of both bags. And I know before I did that, the difference between the bags and their sum was 45. So the difference between the blue and the orange now is still 45. The same is true of those 3 squares. We can take them out of both bags and we still know that the difference between blue and orange is 45. Now if we think about this digit in the corner, we know that digit is in the orange bag twice and in the blue bag once. So I can remove it once from the blue bag and once from the orange bag, and it will be left once in the orange bag, so it will turn orange. And it's still true to say that the difference between the blue bag and the orange bag is 45. Now, I think what it looks like we're being suggested we should do is, what about if I remove all of these cells as well from orange? And what do these cells add up to? I've got 31 there. And 31 there, so I've got 62. So if I was to remove all of these Scrabble tiles from orange, I know I would be taking 62 out of the count of my orange bag. So I'd be left with just three Scrabble tiles in my orange bag and 4 Scrabble tiles in my blue bag. Now, before I took out the tiles summing to 62, I'm getting confused now. Before I did that, my blue bag was 45 less than my orange bag. But I've just taken out 62 out of my orange bag. So now my blue bag is bigger. My blue bag has come into the ascendancy. So my blue bag is now bigger than what's left in my orange bag by 62 minus 45, which is 17. 17. So the difference between these 4 cells and these 3 cells is 17. So that means that these orange cells presumably have to be quite small, because I only get one more digit to play with in order to make the blue total, which altogether has to be 17 greater than the sum of the orange total. Now the problem here though is that my oranges are not all aligned, so I can actually make my oranges really tiny by putting like a 1. If I put a 1 in the corner, no, if I put a 2 in the corner, it's even worse. If you put a 1 in the corner, you can put 2s in those squares and my oranges would add up to 5. If I put 2 in the corner and I put 1s there, my oranges add up to 4 only. So the minimum value of orange is 4, and therefore the minimum value of blue is 4 plus 17, which is 21. So these blue cells add up to 21. Now what's the maximum these 4 cells can add up to? And that is interesting because they are on a whispers line, so they have to oscillate. So we can't just stuff 9876 into that 2x2 and say, well, the maximum of those is 30, because they oscillate. There are 2 low digits in that 2x2. So 9843, is there? No, I think you can probably do that. You'd have to be careful with the 4. You couldn't put the 4. You'd have to put the 4 here. If you put the 4 there, you go 4938. That might be possible actually. So 4938 would be the maximum in that 2x2, and 4938 3 and 8 adds to 24. And that's not quite good enough. 21 I said was the minimum for my oranges. Well, not for the oranges, for the combination of oranges plus the 17. Oh, bobbins, that was quite interesting actually. So these are a maximum of 24. Okay, well what we therefore know, we might not know the value of orange, but we know the maximum value of orange, because the maximum value of orange is the maximum value of blue minus 17, and the maximum value of blue we've worked out is 24. So orange has a maximum value of 7, and that's still quite small. If these were all in the same row, it would be absolutely magic, because then we would know that those 3 digits, if we know those 3 digits have to be different, they'd either have to be 1, 2, 4 or 1, 2, 3. So why do these digits have to be different? Why do those, if there's a repeated digit in orange, then it has to go on the line. So that could, thing is, that could work with something like 3, 3, 1, and then you'd have a 3 on the line, which is what you would need in order to make the maths work. That's really oh, do you have to have a 9 on the line then? If you didn't have a 9 in the 2 by 2, the maximum you could put in would be 8, 7. Yeah, because you couldn't then have a 4 on the line. Whenever you have a 4 on a whispers line, the only digit that can accompany the 4 is a 9, because you need a digit that's 5 away. So if you can't have a 9 on it, you can't have a 4 on it either. So then you'd have to go 8, 7, 3, 2, which is 20. Oh, this is lovely. Okay, that doesn't work, because then if you have 20 in blue, those 3 squares have to add up to 20 minus 17, which is 3, so they'd all have to equal 1, and that I can see is impossible. So there is a 9 in that sequence of digits. That doesn't mean there's a 4 in, but it does mean there's a 9 in. I'm now wondering if maybe I'm totally missing the point here, and this puzzle is actually going to all be about the positions of 5s, for example, around the fish hooks. Is that possible? Let me just think about that for a second. Is this the point? Is it not to do with... I don't... no, I'm not sure. Oh, no, or is it about the other fish hook? Ah. I quite like that idea. I quite like that idea because, yeah, I can build another. Ah, yeah, this looks very interesting. I can build another relationship, look, between those two, that column and that row, and this box, isolate these squares, but with these squares being under pressure from box 7. Because the maximum value, what's the maximum value of these 2 squares? If we maxed those out, we got 9, 8, 3, 4, 24, 7, yeah, oh, it was 7, okay, so if that's, if this is a 1 in the corner, the maximum I can make those squares is 6. Oh, I can't do the maths yet. I can't do the maths quickly. I think I'm going to have to do this slowly. So what I'm thinking is, let's highlight that box. Oh, that's beautiful. I can really see that clearly. So we'll make this box black. So now we've got a black bag of Scrabble tiles, which contains 9 digits adding up to 45. And then we'll compare that with the whole of row 6, which we shall highlight, maybe purple. Can I see that? Yeah, I can sort of see that. and we'll make this column purple as well. So we've got a purple bag full of 18 Scrabble tiles. Remember, this little cell here is it's still in the purple bag twice. So we haven't got only 17 digits in purple, we have 18 digits in purple because this digit is included on 2 Scrabble tiles. And then we can, so now we know that the difference between purple and the black is 45. Now we can take out cells that appear in both bags. This is twice in purple, once in black, so that becomes purple. Okay, so now it's still true that purple is 45 greater than black. Now what on earth do these cages add up to is our next challenge. So they add up to 22, 31, 46. So if we remove those Scrabble tiles from the purple bag, we're left with 3 Scrabble tiles in purple. And if we think about this mathematically, what we had before was that purple equals black plus 45. Now we've got what remains of purple plus 46 is equal to black plus 45. So that means that we're left with purple plus 1 is equal to black. Purple plus 1 is equal to black. And that's it. We've done it. We've done it. It's taken me half an hour, but that is absolutely brilliant. I am very interested to know who's come up with this, because this is not trivial setting. This is just genius setting. It's absolutely class is what it is. It's absolutely class, because why does this matter? Well, we know that those 2 squares have a maximum value of 6 from the work we did before. Well, the maximum I can make this digit is a 9. So the maximum value of those 3 squares is 15. 15 plus 1 is 16. What's the absolute minimum I can put in the black cells? Well, because 2 of them have to be high digits, 2 of them have to be a 6 and a 7 minimum, which could go with a 1 and a 2, which add up to 16. So that's it's forced. There is no way to make the black squares add up to less than that, and there's no way to make the purple squares add up to more than that. So we have found equilibrium. And the economist in me is proud. We've got a sort of ceteris paribus type thing going on, and all things being equal, we have cracked the puzzle, because now this must be a 9. These must add up to 6. If these 2 add up to 6, those 3 added up to 7, so that's a 1 in the corner. And these squares must be 1, 2, 6 and 7. Oh, and people don't like... maybe I can get rid of the highlighting here, because I know people don't like the blue against the black background. I don't know that I need to keep the highlighting. We can see that's 1, 2, 6, 7 now. We know these 2 have to add up to 6, and they can't use a 1. So that's either 2, 4 or double 3. We know that these have to be a stone cold maximum, so they've got to be 8, 9, 3, 4. And all of a sudden I've got 2 digits in the grid, and lots of pencil marking, and a prayer, which I didn't have before. I've got a 7, 8 now in my 15 gauge, because it doesn't have a 9 in it. I've got and I've got to put a 6. Oh, yes, here we go. I've got to put a 6 on this German Whispers line. You can never put a 6 in the middle of a German Whispers line, unless the 2 cells on either side of it don't see each other. Because, of course, the cells on either side of it now have to be double 1, because they have to be 5 away from 6. So you can never put... only one of those cells that can take 6 is the final cell. So that's 6, that's 1. And then it oscillates. We go 6, 1, 7, 2, and that's finished. This is absolutely startling. Now I'm going to use my 6 for bonus points, because the 6 can't go in the 12 cage, otherwise it would have to be accompanied by another 6. So the 6 is in one of those 3 squares, which means there's a 6 in the 10 cage, which means the 10 cage is 1, 3, 6. That's the only way it will work, which means this square is not a 3. Therefore, these 2 squares are not double 3, and they are 2 and 4. I still don't know what that is, though. It could still be 4, 8, or 5, 7. No, it can't. 7, look. 7 must be in one of those 3 squares, so 7 is forced into this domino. That's 5, 7. Yeah, and where does 2... Oh, the simpler question. Where does 2 go in the row? 2 has to go there. And if that's a 2, that's a 4. Now 4 is not in the 9 cage. So the 9 cage is not 2, 3, 4. Here we go. But 2 is in the 9 cage because of this little 2 in the middle of the grid. And it can't go down there. So if that's not 2, 3, 4, it must be 1, 2, 6. These squares here have got to be 5 and something. Hang on, why can't I see that? 5 and 3. And those squares, therefore, have got to be 4 and 8. And all of a sudden, we have liftoff. Look, if that's 5, 7, what's in the 13 cage now? It can't have 6 in it, because 6 would need a 7 with it. So that's got to not be 5, 8 or 6, 7. That's 4, 9. This has got 3, 4, 8, 9. Oh, right. Okay, we can do exactly the same here that we did with the 6 here. The question we need to ask about this foursome is where the 4 goes. You can't put 4 in the middle of the whispers line again. So 4 has to go at the end of the line, next to a 9. Now we oscillate, so that's a 3 and that's an 8. That's an 8 and that's a 7 by Sudoku. This, no, nearly. I thought we were going to get the 11 cage, but I think it can still be 5, 6 or 2, 9. No, it can't be 2, 9 because of the 2 here. Yeah, there must be a 2 in that domino in box 7. So if there's a 2 here, this has to be 5 and 6. There's a 6 here, so this is 6, this is 5. I mean, how lucky. I mean, it's just startling, isn't it? Getting this as a present. I mean, how many presents do you get for Christmas that actually give you, you know, more than half an hour of absolute joy? Not many, at least I don't. Oh, hang on, we must have to have some high digits in here. 20 without you losing 4, 5 or 6. I mean, I can see 8, 9, 3 would work. Does it have to be 8, 9, 3? If you put 9 in there, you need 11 more. And if you can't have 8 in there, you're not going to be able to do it. Yeah, I think that has to be 3, 8, 9. I can't see another way that that works. That would make those 2 squares 2 and 7. Which means these 2 squares in turn are 5 and 6. So it's still working, and now those 3 squares need to add up to 18. So they've got to be 8, 7 and 3. Okay. What else can we do? We can say that. Oh, I know what we can say. Where do 3 and 8 go in box 4? Well, they've got to go in those 2 squares by Sudoku. So the 6 is now placed. The 1 is placed. This is a 3, 8 pair. How does this resolve itself? I'm not sure we know. Can we do anything down here? We need 1s, 2s, 3s and 9s. Oh, 3 and 9 have got to be in those 2 squares. So those 2 squares are a 1, 2 pair, and that's resolved. So we get 1, 2. And that might be interesting, you know, for that German whispers line, which now I can see. I mean, it must have at least 1 low digit on it because it's 3 cells long and it's oscillating. So even if it's only its middle digit, it would have 1 on it, and you can't put 1 or 2 on it anywhere. So any low digits that are on this line are 3 or 4, and therefore must be accompanied with 8s and 9s. I don't know if that's important or not. How can we resolve this? Come on. I've got a horrible feeling it's Sudoku, isn't it? It normally is. Ooh, 2 is on one of those 3 squares. So, does that matter? 2 here would force this square to be a high digit, which probably uses up all the high digits in the box. Hang on a minute, how many high digits do you have to have in a 14 cage and a 13 cage? The answer to that is presumably several. You can't have all the high digits because, well, actually we're going to need a high digit on this whispers line as well. There's going to be 1 high digit on this whispers line. So can you make a 14 cage and a 13 cage with only 2 high digits? 9 plus 8 is 17. So no, you can't. You can't do it. If you don't have 3 high digits in these 4 squares, you cannot make the total high enough. That's beautiful. So that, well, I'm not sure it's very helpful, but it means that square's not a 2, because we know that 3 of the high digits from a whispers perspective in box 3 of the digits 6, 7, 8, 9 are in these 4 cells I've just highlighted. One of them must be on the whispers line because it's 2 cells long, so you can't put a 5th one here, so that can't be a 2. So there is a 2 on this whispers line along with a high digit, which is an 8 or a 9. So if and now, well, hang on, let's come back to this line because we know the parity of this line now. We know this can't be a low digit, so that's a high digit. So let's actually put the options in. That's 8, 9. This is 1, 2, 3 or 4. And this, oh, that's 7, 8 or 9. It can't be 6. Can we rule out anything from here? Can we rule out 4 from there? That's going to force double 9. Maybe not, actually. Okay. We must be about to crack this, though, I feel. That's probably famous last words, isn't it? What is the next best thing to look at? It's going to be... I want to look at this one. I feel it must be important that you can't put 1s or 2s on it. Yeah, here's a small deduction. Here is a small deduction. One of this pair of cells is a low digit, and one of it is a high digit, because you can't have 2 high digits in a row, and you can't have 2 low digits in consecutively on a whispers line. So one is high and one is low. Now, given that the low digit is at least a 3, the high digit is an 8 or a 9. So if we look at these 4 cells together, there must be an 8 or a 9 in this domino, and there must be an 8 or a 9 in this domino. So between those 4 cells, there is a virtual 8-9 pair in row 1, and therefore that cell is not a 9, and that cell is not an 8. I'm almost tempted to pencil mark this line. Actually, let me think about that, because we can't put a 4 in the middle of it, because that's going to force double 9 into the edges. So if this is a low digit, it could be a 4. If this is a 9, no, that doesn't work. Actually, that can't be a 4. Because if that's a 4, that's a 9, and that's therefore got to be a 3, because it can't be a 1 or a 2, and that breaks that square. So that's not 4. So if this is a low digit, it's 3. And then this square has to be a high digit, but it could be 8 or 9, I think. 3, 8 or 9. I'm pausing because I'm just trying to see whether there's any restriction, because what I can't do, if this is 3 and that's 8, don't you always have to put, hang on, no, this is difficult. 3 here with 8 pushes a 4 here because I can't put 1 or 2, and that would require that to in turn become a 9 again. So you can't go 3, 8, 4 or anything else. You've got to go 3, 9, 4. So if this is low, you have to go 3, 9, 4 is my contention, and that does work. But it would limit the 9 out of there, which would be very handy. But that's predicated on this being low, which it doesn't have to be, I don't think. If this was low, well, it's still good, because if this was low, it can't be a 4 or you'd go double 9, so it has to be a 3. And then you can't put the 9 beneath it, because that breaks that square. So you'd have to put the 8 beneath it, and then that would be a 9. 3. So I think that's it, but that's really helpful, because now I've got a 3, 9 pair in this row. Oh, yeah, and I was worried suddenly about a deadly pattern, but actually, of course, the whispers line will disambiguate that. That's gorgeous. If that is the way you do that, that is gorgeous. Let me just think about this again. Have I missed anything there? I don't think so. If this is low, it cannot be 4, because you then have to go 4, 9, 3, and that definitely breaks that. So if it's low, it's a 3. And then you've got to go, you can't go 3, 8, 4, because the 4 would be next to an 8, and it needs to be next to a 9. So you've got to go 3, 9, 4. That's forced. If this is the low digit, it can't be, it must be a 3. And then you've got to go 9, 8, and you can't put the 9 here. Yeah, it's perfect. So this is a 3, 9 pair. That's a 7 out of absolutely nowhere. That's not a 9 anymore. Oh, I've got a 4, 8 pair in this column. That's a 7. So this can't be a 3 or a 4. That's got to be a 1 or a 2, which doesn't help us with this digit. My 3, 9 pair here rules 9 out of the 14 cage, so that's 6 and 8. Now that's not 6. 6 or 8, does that, oh, 9. For some reason I've got, oh yes, I worked out right at the start that 9 had to be in one of those 4 cells, so that must be 4, 9 now. So that means that's not 9. I don't know, it still doesn't seem to be cracked, does it? Let me just think about this for a second. Do we know anything more about the world? We've got 4... Yeah, hang on, we need another high digit on this whispers line, doesn't it? It's got to be a set. Oh, we can place 7 here, because we need a high digit on the whispers line, and the only digit available is a 7. So that means that's not a 7. This square's got to be a 1 or a 2 now on the whispers line. Now I've got a 1, 2 pair here, so that becomes a 6. These 2 squares must be the other digits, which are 3 and 5. So we get the 3, we get a 5 in the corner. That's no longer a 3. That's no longer a 3. And I don't know how to do it. Oh dear, okay. So can I see anything else that's obvious as a result of this? I don't know. These squares must be 4, 5 and 8 to complete box 2. I can't see whether I can do anything with that. Oh no, so I've still, probably, is that why this last whispers line is here? Is it here to help us understand the nature of box 6? There's no 1 on this whispers line. So what can we do with that? We've got limited options for the low digits on this whisper line. Oh, that's good. Right, good grief. This puzzle is absolute quality. Right. We've already used 1, 3 and 6 in box 6. So is it possible that the low digits along the whisper line are those two? Well, no, it's not, because they would have to be a 2-4 pair. And the 2-4 pair would have to have a 9 in the middle of them to be 5 away from the 4. And you can't put 9 in the middle of them. That's impossible. So there are not 2 low digits on this whisper line. There is 1 low digit, and we know that that digit is a 2 because we've already proved there's a 2 on the whispers line. So that's a 2 is my belief. It doesn't seem to do anything. Well, I suppose that we now know those are high digits. We know that they don't include 6. So that's quite good actually. So that's an 8 or a 9, and therefore this is a 7, 8 or a 9. And it can't be an 8 or a 9, so that's a 7. So now we get 7 placed in box 9. I get an 8-9 pair here, so that's a 3, that's an 8, that's a 3, that's a 5, that's a 9, that's a 4. Wow, okay, now these squares are 5 and something, 5 and 4. I don't know if that's resolved somehow. It probably is. I can't see how to do it. Okay. So what else can we? How else can we resolve this? It must be nearly done now though, because we've used up all the constraints. I suppose I've got a lot of information about this row. 4s, 5s, and 6s. Yeah, that's a naked single. That's got to be a 6. So that's a 5, and that's a 6, and that's a 4, and that's a 4, and that's a 5. Yeah, that's good. So this is a 5 now. These two squares are a 1-2 pair, and there's a 2 here. So 2 and 1, and 2 and 1, and 1 here. 4, 9, 6 here is lovely. That gets the 6, that gets the 3, that gets the 8, the 9, and the 3 down in the bottom row. The 9 does the 9 and the 8, which does the 8 and the 6. Okay, that's gorgeous, but something must be done over here, because otherwise I've really had a ricket. Let's look at these squares, which have to be 1, 2, and 4. So that's a 2 or a 4. I see. Yeah, where does 4 go in the top row? It has to go here. Maybe column 2 now, where we need 2, 5, 7 and 9. So this square is a 5 or a 9. This is 2, 5 or 9. No, that was a dreadful... Oh, 3 here. Look, I can get a 3 and an 8 here. Oh, that's... So sorry, this has been available for ages. Look, this 8 is now bouncing back there, which gives us all of those digits. And that gets me this digit and this digit. And now, now the parity being resolved on the whispers line resolves the deadly pattern, which, well, it's no longer deadly. So the 9 and the 3 get resolved. That 4 is doing the 4 and the 9 over here, so that's now a 9, which makes this square a something. It's not 5, it's not 9, so it must be 2. The 2 and the 7 and the 5, the 1 and the 2 and the 1. And now these squares should be 5 and 6. That's 5, that's 6, and that is done. Wow, that is stunning. That is stunning. A Spartacus, is that you? Is that you? I mean, it could well be a Spartacus. It's a good enough puzzle to be a Spartacus. That's, you know, i.e. it's absolutely 100% top quality. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. What a gift. That must have taken ages to create. I'd love to know. Whoever my secret Santa is, thank you so much for that. Yeah, it's given me nearly an hour of absolute pure pleasure. I hope some of you enjoyed watching that as well. I love to know from the comments, A, whether you solved it, and B, who you think set it. And of course, once I do know, if indeed it's ever revealed, I'll change the description or something, or pin a comment to say, you know, this is who it's by and this is who should be credited, because they certainly deserve it. And what I'll also do actually is I'll make these other puzzles. I'll put some links to those under this puzzle as well. So if you want to try these other ones, which looks like they could be awesome as well, then do have a look at those as well. Fantastic. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.